stay here. It's your call. I am about to focus on live though. Okay. I love you all. Have a great week. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Prophet Trisha J, and I am co-leader of Truth Seekers International. We are a Bible-based fasting and praying ministry. And so we fast the first 3 days of every single month as a first fruit unto the Lord, to give us some discipline, to make sure that we are handling our business, and hearing from the Lord. I need to change something. So hold please, friends. I feel like we get better height this way. So there we go. Good morning. There we go. Thank you. No, I'm good, babe. Appreciate you. All right. So we're doing all the things. We are fasting and praying ministry. We fast the first 3 days of every month. Very important. And so if you're watching live, go ahead and type in live. If you're watching replay, go ahead and type in replay. Let me know where you're watching from so I know, Pastor John and I know where to pray. We like to pray for regions. We like to pray for our people. We like to pray for the people that are listening to us. And so let us know where you're watching from. I feel like that's it because it's not the beginning of the month, and the beginning of the month is always crazy with announcements. I'm just getting back from convention, so I appreciate you all for being patient and flexible with me. Things didn't go according to plan, but they always go according to God's plan, right? So I hope you got your videos and were able to follow along just as you would have if we were doing them live. And I feel like you got them at a certain time, like consistently. So that's good. We like that. I will go over our foundational scripture for the year, which is Isaiah 43. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Shall you not perceive it? I'm making ways in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. And this is definitely a behold season where the Lord is doing all the things. Okay. So we are seeing a lot happen in this earth realm. And the crazy thing is that scientifically, what we see is just a small, microscopic percentage of what's actually out there to be seen. And so when we see the word behold, it's like, look, all caps, pay attention to what's happening, mark this moment. And so God is allowing us to have behold moments to see behind the veil, of what's happening in the spirit realm, but also, you know, to get some intentional what's happening here in the natural realm. So you'll see one thing in the news, and your spirit will know. It will know, and it will alert you. Like, pay attention to that. You'll see a news line, and you will know, oh, that's fake news. This is propaganda. So I just want to make sure that I put those things out there because we got a lot coming up. We got a lot going on. Um, and I didn't even say half of what I wanted to in the August prophecy. Praise and worship was the focus. But we got to get there. We got to get there. So I'll leave it at that. We have been walking through the book of Daniel. And if you're a part of Bible study, you know that Pastor John has started uh, going over the book of Revelation. And blessed is he who reads the book of Revelation. And so we will walk through the book of Daniel, and then we will pick up in Revelation here. Okay. So you get a double dose. It's funny how God does that because Pastor John and I have like our own calendars. And there's nothing that we each pick. It's like the Lord will give us the things. Um, so you get a double dose. Um, I don't believe that they'll overlap. So I'll be the refresher for you all. And Pastor John is crazy. He likes to go deep and do all those things. So take notes, pay attention, show up. Somebody remind me, I got to get y'all the Zoom link because we are transitioning Bible study over back to Zoom. So I was at convention. We didn't do Daniel last week. We're picking up Daniel chapter 5 this week. And I feel like that's it. I will probably be toggling back and forth between the NLT and the ESV because NLT is my jam. Like, my jam. Um, I got a new Bible for this year and it was ESV. And I like her. We like her. She can stay. But when I was like really like diving into Daniel, I was using my NLT Bible. And I just have not typed up the notes because who has time for that right now? Have y'all met me? Have y'all seen my schedule? I'm going to teach class after this, okay? All right, so we are heading into Daniel chapter 5. We have seen the Hebrew boys be captured from their own home, taken into captivity, become literal eunuchs because we're cutting off the bloodline, um, become indoctrinated into the system of Babylon, right? And these four Hebrew boys are bucking up against the system covertly, okay? Because one thing they're not going to do is defy their God. Now, listen, I will be a good captive for you, okay? I'll be a good slave for you, but still gonna serve my God. And so we've seen Daniel stand up against the king. The king operate in so much pride. He only wants to be, served and complimented, if you will. We've seen Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah be thrown into the furnace and saved because God, of course. And we've seen the king continue to operate in pride even after Daniel has given him warning after warning from the Lord. The Lord is speaking to him. He's not able to interpret it. Daniel was the only one that's able to interpret it, and he still doesn't listen. Daniel gives him a humble warning. He still doesn't listen. So now we are heading into chapter 5, okay? And so I'm going to read from the NLT. Many years later, King Belshazzar, because Belteshazzar would be Daniel's name. So many years later, King Belshazzar gave a great feast for 1,000 of his nobles, and he drank wine with them. While Belshazzar was drinking wine, he gave orders to bring in the gold and silver cups that his predecessor, Nebuchadnezzar, had taken from the temple in Jerusalem. He wanted to drink from them with his nobles, his wives, and his concubines. So they brought these gold cups taken from the temple, the house of God in Jerusalem, and the king and his nobles, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. Somebody say, "Ooh," because why would you do that? You're gonna get in trouble. And I think honestly, he had not his own personal experience with the Lord, but these are sacred items that he's taking and using. And we know God is not about to be happy with that. So, let's keep going, shall we? Verse 5. Suddenly they saw fingers of a human hand writing on the plaster wall of the king's palace near the lampstand. The king himself saw the hand as it wrote, and his face turned pale with fright. His knees knocked together in fear, and his legs gave way beneath him. Okay, so I just want to call out real quick because Babylon is a fortified city, okay? They are big on having strong walls, gatekeepers, all the things. So where's this hand coming from? They know it can't be an enemy coming in because they have fortified walls. And so we know that this is deliberate defiance of God. All right? So we're going to pick back up verse 7. The king shouted for the enchanters, the astrologers, and fortune tellers to be brought before him. He said to these wise men of Babylon, "Whoever can read this writing and tell me what it means will be dressed in purple robes of royal honor and will have a gold chain placed around his neck. He will become the third highest ruler in the kingdom. I'm going to leave that alone. Verse 8 but when all the king's wise men had come in, none of them could read the writing or tell him what it meant. So the king grew even more alarmed, and his face turned pale. His nobles too were shaken. But when the queen, and I believe that this is like the mom, which is why it's third in place, so I will go there. He's saying third place because technically he's not the king. He's like an interim king. He's he's in place while Nebi is getting his life back together because he had a heck of a fall and lost his mind for quite some time. And so he's interim king running the place. And so the queen mother heard what was happening. She hurried to the banquet hall and she said to Belshazzar, "Long live the king. Don't be so pale and frightened. There is a man in your kingdom who has within him the spirit of the holy gods. During Nebuchadnezzar's reign, this man was found to have insight, understanding, and wisdom like that of the gods. Your predecessor, the king, your predecessor, King Nebuchadnezzar, made him chief over all magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and fortune tellers of Babylon. This man Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar, has exceptional ability and is filled with divine knowledge and understanding. He can interpret dreams, explain riddles, and solve difficult problems. Call for Daniel, and he will tell you what the writing means." Let's stop there for a second. God bless Daniel, because how many people do we know that know somebody and don't say their names? That's the whole point of networking. So if you know someone is in need, why wouldn't you say their name, right? That's one of the things that we love about LinkedIn. And I've seen it happen on platforms like Facebook too, where people don't have jobs anymore for whatever reason. They're moving, there were layoffs, they were fired, and they will say, "Hey, I am skilled at this particular thing. I worked at this place for so long. I have this amount of experience. Does anyone know if there are any opportunities?" You have to share names. That's one thing about it. And so, yes, a recommendation it's important. As an entrepreneur, it's important. And so for me, I don't like to give recommendations unless I know that that person, that entrepreneur, is going to have the standard that I have. Right? Say my name, baby. Yes. And so it's just like, if I give you this recommendation and then they're on color people time, they're not professional, you're gonna give me that feedback that that's who I recommended, right? Or if something goes wrong, you're gonna be like, "I had a terrible experience. This went wrong, and this is what happened with the recommendation that you gave me." So we don't just give recommendations out lightly, right? You definitely want to give names of someone that is actually going to do the thing and be excellent like you are, because that's why people are asking for your recommendation, right? Okay. So, with that, we've had this conversation at work because I am a 9 to 5 entrepreneur. I am called to be in the marketplace. I have to work and touch people. Um, One thing for sure, even Pastor John is one, and so we're having these conversations. I don't want to be a leader. He wants to be a leader. I don't want to be a leader. And so the conversations are, people in leadership, they would rather take someone that they know who's not good at the role, but they know them, they know their character, they know what they can do, they know their wheelhouse, than go with someone that they don't know. So the only way that people get in when they're not known It's because somebody said their name. So, with I'm saying all this to say, we're gonna get back here. I'm going somewhere. I promise I am. I'm going somewhere with this. Somebody has to say your name. And so Daniel isn't the only person. We've seen in the Bible where there was a certain someone in jail, and he was deciphering dreams, interpreting dreams, and he thought he was going to get out of jail. Joseph, innocent. He didn't get out of jail until somebody remembered to say his name. And it was years later, he said, oh, you know what? Lord, forgive me. I forgot. When you threw me in jail when you were mad that last time, actually, there was this guy down there, and he interpreted my dream. He could interpret your dream. You have to show up like that every single time. Whether you are just being a kind human being, whether you are, I'm good with kids. I am really good with kids. I love kids. I like begrudgingly. My heart is you don't do kids wrong. And so I will take them before I allow you to do something wrong to them. That's how I operate. Give me my baby is quickly what I will give my child. Okay, it's not mine, but it's mine at this point. Give my child. So because I have run the children's ministry for over 10 years, like always been there, not even the leader, just in there doing the things. Okay, no title, but everybody looking to me for the answer and what to do. Nobody can get volunteers. Every time I have a shift, I got more than enough volunteers because everybody likes to work with me and they know I run a tight ship. So people know when it comes to kids, I'm gonna take care of them. Still to this day, they know that. That's part of my brand. I don't play about my babies. They are my babies. You remember the old school rule, like children and women were off limits. Give me my babies. They my babies. Okay. And so people still call my name for those things. What do people call your name for? What do they call your name for? When it comes to entrepreneurship, they want to know how to do something, they'll call my name. When it comes to writing, they'll call my name. I speak. They know I can speak. They'll call my name. What do people call your name for? What do they call your name for? At work, they know I'm super organized. They know I'm very diplomatic. I'm going to get it done. The stuff that people don't want to get done, I get done. That's what they call my name for. What do people call your name for? Daniel has been off in the cut because, one thing about CEOs, this is why publicly traded companies, they hit different. Because when the CEO changes, where are you trying to take this company? Let me remove my stock because I don't know where you're trying to take this company. And I was on board with where the last CEO was trying to go. I don't know if you're gonna be trying to do something that I'm aligned with. Let me pull my money. Let me pull my funds, and I'll go somewhere else. This is why we see the stock market go up and down. This is why we are very conscious of choosing CEOs. This is why CEOs can't just be acting crazy. You can't be out here fighting in these streets and cussing people out and doing all of that. You represent a whole company. And the minute they say, yeah, we don't like the way that you're acting, you're out. And now the company is in shambles. Not necessarily in shambles, but now the trajectory is changing because whoever we're going to hire to replace you as the CEO, they might have a whole new vision. And so now you got to figure out what that looks like and if you can rock with that. Okay? So all this has been happening in the kingdom of Babylon, right? So we know King Nebuchadnezzar lost his mind. He had this dream. He didn't listen. And then he ended up having to be on his hands and knees like a wild animal for 7 years. For 7 years, somebody else had to be leading this country. And just because he got his mind back doesn't mean that he didn't need some time to get back into the game. He probably needed to learn how to walk again. He probably needed some time to figure out, well, what all did I miss? Like, who can bring me up to speed? 7 years is a long time. So just because he has his mind back, right? His mind is back. It doesn't mean he can just jump right into the seat and do what he was doing before. So while he was gone, this king, which is why he's saying third place, this person can be third place because technically I'm number two. He is in the number one spot right now. So he's brought his own people along who he trusts to guide and guard him, right? And so we see him say he shouted for the enchanters, the astrologers, and the fortune tellers, not the wise men. Daniel's never been called any of those other things. He's either chief of the wise men or, something like that. Okay? Let's get back to it. Shout out to the mama for remembering his name. There's going to be a time where you need to remember somebody's name, and that's going to change their trajectory. Sometimes that's the thing that's holding you back. You waiting on that financial breakthrough, you waiting on that deal. It's because somebody hasn't said your name yet. I mean, it's probably not time yet too. Just saying. All right, so shout out to Mama for remembering his name. She says, call for Daniel and he will tell you what the writing means. All right, we're hopping down to Daniel chapter 5, verse 13. So Daniel was brought in before the king, and the king asked him, are you Daniel, one of the exiles brought from Judah by my predecessor, King Nebuchadnezzar? I have heard that you have the spirit of the gods within you, and that you are filled with insight, understanding, and wisdom. My wise men and enchanters have tried to read the words on the wall and tell me their meaning, but they cannot do it. I am told that you can give interpretations and solve difficult problems. If you can read these words and tell me their meaning, you would be clothed in purple robes of royal honor, and you will have a gold chain placed around your neck. You will become the third highest ruler in the kingdom. That's a lot. But I just want to call out, you notice how Daniel was not like included in that piece. So we know Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they went through the training, right? This is their role. This is the department that they work in, and they are never with these people, okay? So they had to learn the magic and the dark arts and all the things, and they are still never associating themselves with these people. When they call the people, they're never with them. I just love that. It's so funny to me. They are never with them. So they had to call them separately. All right, so Daniel gets to responding in verse 17. He says, keep your gifts or give them to someone else, but I will tell you what the writing means, your majesty. The Most High God gave sovereignty, majesty, glory, and honor to your predecessor, Nebuchadnezzar. He made him so great that people of all races and nations and languages trembled before him in fear. He killed those he wanted to kill and spared those he wanted to spare. He honored those he wanted to honor and disgraced those he wanted to disgrace. But when his heart and mind were puffed up with arrogance, he was brought down from his royal throne and stripped of his glory. He was driven from human society. He was given the mind of a wild animal. He lived among the wild donkeys. He ate grass like a cow, and he was drenched with the dew of heaven until he learned that the Most High God rules over the kingdoms of the world and appoints anyone he desires to rule over them. You are his successor, O Belshazzar, and you knew all this, yet you have not humbled yourself, for you have proudly defied the Lord of heaven and have had these cups from his temple brought before you. You purposely sought this out. You And your nobles and your wives and concubines have been drinking wine from them while praising gods of silver, gold, bronze, iron, wood, and stone, gods that never see nor hear nor know anything at all, but you have not honored the God who gives you the breath of life and controls your destiny. So God has sent his hand to write this message. Let's park there because the message is going to be good, okay? So Daniel doesn't have a relationship with this king. He's not in the circle with all of the his peers in his department, right? And he still gives a courageous rebuke to this king. One thing about Daniel is we know his reputation precedes him. Make sure that your reputation precedes you in a good way, okay? Because it's going to precede you either way. People going to talk. But I love that he was still able to be courageous. And then you know how the king was like, "Aren't you basically the little slave boy?" And he didn't let that hit his ego. He ignored it, stepped right on over it because Daniel's not filled with pride. Daniel does not care about reputation and all those things. So let that be a note for you as well. But even when he tried to incentivize telling him what it meant, he said, "You can keep those things because I'm here to do the right thing regardless, okay? You can give them to somebody else. I don't necessarily need them." I love that he did that because some people can easily be bought. And once you are bought, we're seeing this in our current election, right? We see this in our current administration from the election. Once you promise something, once you give so much money to an office or a campaign, then you owe me. You owe me. You don't want to be in a space where you owe people. This is how we have certain people in certain seats right now because you owe me. I love that he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth regardless. You can get that to somebody else. I don't need that." Because basically what he's saying is you can't buy me. And we need more people in the government that can't be bought. Because right now everybody's bought. I roll my eyes. We're gonna pray about that. Right now everybody's bought. And the crazy thing is, when you are a person that is vocal about not being bought, they always try to find a way to catch you. They always try to find something that you need or want. So that way you can be bought. Don't be weak. Don't be weak. We need more people in government that can't be bought. I would love to, and I know that I'm supposed to at some point, but baby, you can't buy me. And so when the Lord opens up the opportunity for me to go into government, I don't know if it'll be in the prophetic space because I am a Daniel, I am a Joseph, or I don't know if I'll actually have to run for an office, but you can't buy me. I've been a truth teller since 85. I've been pissing people off for a very long time. And I just don't think nothing of it because it's like, it's the right thing to do. We need more people that can't be bought. That's it. God, I was bought with a price already. That's it. Okay. So Daniel gives the new king a warning of what caused the last one to lose the throne. Okay. And so the warning, he's warning the king basically not to fall into pride. We all know he probably not going to listen. Let's get to the writing on the wall. This message was written, which is verse 25. Many, many tiki and parson. This is what the words mean. Many means numbered. God has numbered the days of your reign and has brought it to an end. Because why would you take them cups? You knew better. Now your days are numbered. Tickle means weighed. You have been weighed on the balances and have not measured up. This is why you need to be what you say you are. Because when people actually call you to the table and you're not ready, you are not measuring up to what everybody said you were. Okay? All right. Parson means divided. So numbered, weighed, divided. Your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then, at Belshazzar's command, Daniel was dressed in purple robes. A gold chain was hung around his neck, and he was proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom. We all know this is for a very short period of time, okay? Because we just found out your days are numbered and your kingdom is about to be divided. Okay. Um, but even still, he kept his word. Daniel didn't care either way. Okay. He had integrity, right? But I think for me, culturally, it was funny to see like this gold chain be like a big thing. And I mean, hello, we are over in the east. We are in the Western culture, gold chains are still a thing, right? Everybody wants a gold chain to feel like they are somebody. And that was literally the point of him having the gold chain. You are somebody. And so this chain lets people know that you are somebody. And here we are over in the Western culture. You see a lot of rappers with the gold chains to let people know what? We are somebody. So I thought that that was funny. Um, but I do want to stop there. We'll jump into Daniel chapter 6, right? Right? Like all across the transatlantic on both sides. Chains are important, okay? Everybody want to go a chain. And so very seldomly do we get to see Eastern and Western culture like do similar things. You know, we talk about Eastern and Western culture or churches. We talk about Eastern and Western churches and how they operate so differently, but that still remains the same. So I thought that that was um, different. It was good though, but I think for sure the main thing was just the lesson is being a person of integrity, being who you say you are. That's it. You're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But you know, the writing on the wall, that's one of my favorite albums, by the way. Okay, my poor little neighbors. When I tell you I wore that album out as a teenager, I played it every day, all day. This is back in the day when you have R&B album and then they have like a gospel song at the end because you know we still love God type of deal. That was my album, okay. But the writing on the wall here, um, it was not like a vision, but it was like a miracle to be seen, and that's why I wanted to make sure that I called out. I'm just saying that's why I wanted to make sure that I called out that Babylon is a fortified city right now. Okay, so what they are seeing was absolutely a behold moment when they are seeing the fingers from this man's hand emerge and start writing on the wall. That was nothing but a supernatural experience. Okay. And not only was it was plastering writing on the wall. So this wasn't like a figment of their imaginations, right? But for all to have been present and seeing it, this was a miracle. Um, it was a miracle. And, you know, we know that they were drinking wine, but they weren't drunk because Daniel wasn't there. He was able to come see it and interpret it. So I always like to make sure that I uh, bring that part out because the writing on the wall had him terrified. So he knew he was doing something wrong. You had this great bright idea excuse me, while you were drinking wine, which is why we pay attention to the wine, right? We call alcohol spirits for a reason. And so you got this bright idea that probably wasn't your own, but now you're going to have to pay for these actions that you made. And so, yeah. I just can't get enough of that because why would you do that? This is not even really your kingdom, and you're messing stuff up because you finally get a chance. People gonna people every single time. So we know that his days are numbered, right? God has weighed him out. You're not all you weigh up to be. Okay, you say you 100, but you really like 65. You don't do what you say you can do. Your bread ain't matching up to who you really are. Okay, and then divided. And so I thought that that was very interesting because he was found deficient. And so because he was found deficient, now Babylon would be divided. And so we know, based on history, it's going to be divided between the Medes and the Persians. And so with that, what's the lesson? Be integral, do the right thing regardless, right? Um, being a person of integrity and acting with character is vital. And so everything that we see him do, Daniel comes in and does the direct opposite and is immediately blessed for. And so I want that to be the lesson for us. Let us have integrity in our work. Let the work stand for itself and it be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be in a rush. Make sure that it's polished. Make sure that it looks right. Make sure that it's visually pleasing to the eye, right? Make sure that the information in it is valid. I'm back in school, so what do you need to do? You need to have a reference for everything. Cite these references. You have to cite them. No plagiarizing. What does that mean? You know what I mean? And so that shows integrity in your character, who you are, what your name actually means. And so we want to make sure that we are being those people today, okay? Because somebody's going to call your name. And we need to make sure that when they do, you actually weigh up to what they're saying about you. That's one, right? Um, but then you are who you say you are, or who you think you are. So we will see the consequences of his disobedience and his pride yet again. And so that is the juxtaposition that you are going to continue to see in these books. Pride always comes before a fall. You was doing too much. Not only did you take these sacred cups and drink from them, which you shouldn't have been doing, then you want to go and worship other gods. And not just one. I mean, it still would have been as bad if it was just one. But you are idol worshiping. It's basically what we're catching you in the act of. Gold, silver, wood, like anything. You're just doing anything, and that's not okay. So, I want to just make sure that I call those things out because I want you to take a look at your life. What's your brand? What do people know you for? Because if it's always you being the person that's giving a good time, you might want to reconsider. Because a friend to everybody is a friend to no one. I'm kind to everyone. I'm very closed off to a lot of people. Everybody don't need to know me like that. Because then they get comfortable. And then if I need to give a word, it's like, girl, I'm gonna listen to you. But you should. But you should though. So that's why I move the way that I move. I'm not funny acting. I'm very strategic. So that way if I ever need to come pull your coattail, you know why. I think that that's everything for this week. I love you all. Pastor John is. What time are you preaching? 1:30. He is a guest pastor for this month of August, and so he will be teaching the word at 1:30 today. I will be at a training, so I won't be able to attend. If you can, please be there. Minister Key has the information, so if you would like to support, go ahead and share. I believe it's virtual too, so quick and easy for you. Um, we'll be back online Saturday, and I hope that y'all are enjoying the social media tidbits. I would love to see y'all talk more about these pieces on social media because in real life, you know how I used to congregate in church in the foyer and talk about what the bishop and them all said. That's kind of what social media is for churches. That's kind of the foyer. And so if you don't talk about it, it didn't happen. And we need to talk about it because it needs to happen, right? We need people to know the gospel. Um, so Saturday Bible study, I'll be back on. We're gonna talk about Daniel. I told y'all it was short lived. How he got that chain and he got promoted. He about to be in the lion's den the next time we talk. All right, I love y'all. I gotta get ready for class and then training. So I will talk with y'all later. Have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye.